security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight on the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace to
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Welcome to Patrick Christys Tonight, late edition, breaking right now.
My name's Patrick, I do a show at GB News. Hello, I just want to talk about how you get from here to the lorry parks. Is that possible? Quick conversation, no? Fine.
So that migrant warehouse encampment, which I visited a few weeks ago in France, has been raided and destroyed, but a story linked to this is doing the rounds in some of the front pages.
Would gently point out to Nigel Farage and others that before we left the EU, we had a returns agreement with every country in the EU.
So the Prime Minister has now continued his all-out attack on Farage, but have a look at this. PM's major U-turn on human rights to stop the, quotes, Farage boats. So Sir Keir Starmer is apparently going to shake up the European Court of Human Rights. Well, remarkable that, really, isn't it? Considering he's made a living out of going into bat for it and appointed an Attorney-General who literally stood up and said this Labour government will never, and I'm quoting now, never deviate from the ECHR. So that's great. And?
Friends, got a message for you. We sent those frackers packing. I say, let's ban fracking and vow to send this bunch of frackers packing too.
We need to study how so many weirdos end up in politics. But Ed Miliband has doubled down on his fanatical green agenda. Well, Kemi Badenoch, the Conservative leader, says I'll rip up the laws on net zero. That's in the Telegraph. The Times have also got a story about how we spent £1 billion last year not turning wind turbines on. Plus,
I don't honestly see there's a case to answer. I can't see what we've done wrong.
well, it turned out there was a case, and she's now on the hook, potentially, or a company linked to her, for £122 million. That's Michelle Mone there, and it was over a company's PPE COVID contract. It turned out to have, I think, essentially duff equipment. But the Chancellor now wants her booted out of the House of Lords, and...
Israel is not immune to international law. They must be held accountable for their war crimes. Stop the genocide, stop the occupation, and free Palestine.
Oh. Well, that's how it started, and this is how it's ended, because Greta Thunberg's flotilla have been stormed by the Israeli Defence Forces, and, yeah, you can see them all there, cowering with their hands up, can't you? So that's good. Essentially, what they wanted to do was drop the big shop off at Gaza, but no, alas. Anyway, Greta's Gaza Ricardo delivery will have to wait for another time. Anyway, stay tuned. Well, joining us throughout the course of this show, Director of Popular Conservatives Mark Littlewood. We've also got journalist and broadcaster Nina Mishkov and GB News contributor and comedian Steve N. Allen. But first, let's get those news headlines with the one and only Sam Francis.
Patrick, thank you, and good evening to you. Just after 11 o'clock, the top story tonight, an international aid flotilla with 50 boats carrying 500 people says it has been illegally intercepted after Israeli naval forces boarded several ships tonight heading towards Gaza. The flotilla's interception is expected to take another hour or so as activists stream events live from on board. 3 of its boats have already been confirmed to have been boarded, but insist the mission to Gaza is continuing. In a statement, the Israeli military have warned the flotilla it is approaching an active combat zone and is violating a naval blockade. The head of the Metropolitan Police Force has apologised today for what he described as reprehensible behaviour by officers at the Charing Cross police station, revealed in a Panorama investigation.
I understand the people of London are going to be really upset by this. Some it will cause to question the trust they hold the police in. And we depend on that trust so much because without it we can't succeed in keeping them safe.
Sir Mark Rowley says 9 officers have been suspended, most likely to face dismissal within weeks. The police watchdog has launched its own inquiry into claims of racism, misogyny, anti-Muslim sentiment and the use of excessive force. London Mayor Sadiq Khan says he's disgusted and appalled, backing the Commissioner's pledge of zero tolerance. The entire custody team has now been disbanded as urgent reforms are rolled out across the force. Also tonight, a Rochdale grooming gang has been jailed for a total of 174 years. The ringleader, Mohammed Zahid, a father of 3, was sentenced to 35 years for raping 2 schoolgirls. He lured the girls with money, alcohol and food, treating them as sex slaves from the age of just 13. He was one of 7 men convicted in June this year for sexual offences committed between 2001 and 2006. A company linked to Tory peer Michelle Mone has been ordered to repay the government £122 million after breaching a COVID contract for surgical gowns. The High Court says the firm, run by her husband Doug Barrowman, must return the money with interest by the 15th of October. Lady Mone recommended the company to ministers during the pandemic, securing a place on the so-called VIP lane for PPE contracts. Both she and Mr Barrowman denied wrongdoing and gave no evidence at the trial. The Chancellor says the money will go back into schools, the NHS and local communities. The energy price cap has risen today by 2%, pushing the average household bill in England, Scotland and in Wales now to £1,755 a year. More than 7 million homes on standard tariffs are being urged to send in meter readings to avoid higher charges. The Step Change Debt Charity says £35 increase may seem small, but warns energy arrears among its clients are up 32% in the last 2 years. And the first named storm of the autumn is well on the way, with winds of up to 70 miles an hour and torrential rain set to hit the UK. Storm Amy will sweep across the country from Friday evening through to Saturday. Northern Britain faces the brunt from 6 p.m. on Friday. Alerts in force right through to midnight the following day. Forecasters say gusts could even top 80 miles an hour along coasts and hills. Those are the headlines for now. Join us again 9:30 from the newsroom for all the top stories. Now, though, it's over to Patrick.
Tune in to GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Welcome back to Late Edition. Let's get straight into Thursday's newspaper front pages. We start with the Eye. Refugees stripped of automatic right to have families join them in the UK. It's a big story that we'll talk about it. Big U-turn from Sir Keir Starmer. The Metro, Mone. It's the Michelle Mone scandal. £122 million. She, or a business linked to her anyway, is potentially on the hook to pay back over dodgy PPE during COVID. The Independent, here you go. PM's major U-turn on human rights to stop the, quotes, Farage boats. So it looks as though he wants to tinker with the ECHR, something that he said he would never do. The Telegraph, Kemi Badenoch, I will rip up laws on net zero. Comes on the same day that Ed Miliband gave a big speech about how great net zero is. Also on the Telegraph is updating Trump's flags for brighter shade of MAGA. Cost £800 a go. American flags flown for Donald Trump's state visit were replaced because we got the wrong shade of red. So we had to make it more red. The Daily Express, let down by those whose job it was to protect them. It's another absolutely scandalous Pakistani rape case where one of the ringleaders, anyway, was sentenced to 35 years. I think the gang of them have been sentenced to something like 150 years in prison collectively. Just a shocking case, historic case, 2001 to 2006. The Guardian, PPE firm with link to Mone, ordered to repay 122 mil. The Daily Mail, Baroness Bra told hand back our 122 million quid and the peerage. The Times, automatic rights for refugees to be scrapped. And it is there we're going to start, actually, with my panel this evening. We've got Director of Popular Conservatives Mark Littlewood, journalist and broadcaster Nina Mishkov, and comedian and contributor Steve N. Allen. Can we just start with... It's on the front of the Eye, it's on the front of a couple, but we might as well bring that out first. The Eye newspaper. Refugees stripped of automatic right to have families join them in the UK. Bit more detail on this right through to you, Mark. Refugees will lose settlement and family reunion rights, affecting wives, husbands and children under new government plans to reduce pull factors for channel migrants. Downing Street says it's unfair that under the current rules, small boat migrants granted asylum have greater rights than those arriving through legal routes. Sir Keir Starmer would be campaigning to keep this if he wasn't in power and losing.
Yeah, you would think so. I mean, it might be that some degree of reality is dawning on the Prime Minister. It might just be that is electoral reality rather than a heartfelt change of mind. I mean, we were told, weren't we, that any deviation from ECHR, the European Convention, or even, God forbid, considering that we'd pull out of it, would render us like Russia or Belarus. That would be the sort of country we would become if we even dared to suggest that we should deviate. Well, turns out, looks like the Prime Minister is now going to deviate. The key thing here is, supposing we let somebody in, we say, yeah, all right, we accept you face persecution and torture if we send you back home, you're in. Should it be automatic that spouse and kids join them? Because oftentimes it strikes me that when we talk about people's dependence, we don't mean that they're dependent on that person. We mean that they're dependent on the British taxpayer if they come in. So I'd be happier about it if we said, if you've got any dependents, just to be clear, they need to be dependent on you, and you need to pay for them, not dependent on us and the taxpayer.
I'll never forget the conversation I had with an Eritrean man in some woodland near Calais who told me that despite the fact that he had to flee his country because the war zone there was just cripplingly awful, he'd left his wife and his parents were paying for him to have his channel crossings the whole time. So it's like, well, you know, if it was that bad, why have you left your missus?
No, but you can't expect, you know, that's always been the way, that the man goes first and then brings the family...
Leave them in the war zone.
Well...
I'll just do that. If there's a war near here, I'll leave Emily and the kids.
No, the terrible journey to get... I mean, it's a perilous journey if you're coming from Eritrea through Europe, to, you know, boat crossing to Europe, then another boat crossing. So there's that. Keir Starmer's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. He's been whinging for months and years that he does nothing, and now that he's actually doing something, and I believe it's obviously Shabana Mahmood who's coming in the last couple of weeks into office, and so she's said, right, we're doing this, this, and this, and this. Right. And we said she was going to play tough, and she is.
Okay, well, what do you think of this? I mean, someone we seem to be ignoring the fact that someone might have fled their home country and come to Britain to get away from the wife.
I don't think that's one of the reasons you can claim asylum, although maybe we need to look into it. So looking at this, getting rid of this, stripping them of their automatic rights, this is a racist policy and an immoral policy. Hang on. No, it's a Labour one, so it's fine. It could have been a racist or an immoral one, but thankfully the stamp... I think you're right about being damned if they do, damned if they don't, because the left won't like this, so he's not appealing to the left and he's losing some ground to the Your Party. The right won't believe it. As we sit here going like, well, he would have campaigned against it. He'll never do this. I think he's playing it all wrong. It's not about words. If you believe what he says about Farage being a snake oil salesman, this populist thing, it's two parts: genuine concerns and dodgy solutions to it. That's what popularism is. So if you believe that about Farage, you've got to realise the complaints are valid. Go off, solve these problems, because if you sort out immigration, Nigel Farage's got nothing to talk about, and that's the only way Starmer can make this work. No other party could do it, though. That's the other thing. If any other party tried to bring this in, you're right, there'd be such
because of people like him. Yeah. This is the thing. But he's made... So, let's just talk about, practically speaking, because we are... I think a lot of people believe, as I do, that there is a national emergency, that we're pressed for time when it comes to sorting out this kind of stuff. So Sir Keir Starmer is now just talking about trying to change the ECHR or look at the way that we interpret it. But this is going to take years, isn't it?
Well, that's in his gift. I mean, there's no particular reason why the government couldn't bring forward emergency legislation immediately. I mean, they could choose to make it a political priority if they want. And then going to Steve's point, I mean, what's even odder about this, sort of branding Farage as these are racist policies, snake oil salesmen, no real solutions. Labour are basically adopting a kind of lighter version of reform policy. It's not like it's a completely different strategy. It's not like Starmer is saying, no, we've got a completely different way of tackling this problem, wholly different to anything that Reform UK is suggesting. He's actually saying, I'll go about halfway there. I'll take a good chunk of it. There is nothing to distinguish the movement from Starmer. Well, it is just straight towards reform policy. It's not a different strategy or a different approach at all. It's just a chunk of what Farage has been arguing for.
Just on that, can I just move it on? Can we see the Sun's front page? Is that all right? So we'll bring that up. Their main story is about Michelle Mone. We'll come on to that later. But down the sidebar, you'll see there is this story that army chiefs are on standby to build migrant camps as part of a crackdown on illegal small boat crossings. I'll give you some more detail on this. Logistics teams with experience in building barracks in war zones are working up plans to quickly open new facilities on government-owned land. Now, they go on to say the move will help ministers speed up the process of getting asylum seekers out of costly hotels and into cheaper makeshift accommodation. This is again happening under Labour. This was Reform's policy.
Shabana Mahmood. This is what she's done.
Or Nigel Farage.
No, it's Shabana Mahmood. This is what she's decided to do. And by the way, the Lib Dems said, Ed Davies said, declare a national emergency and get the backlog sorted out and get it all moving. So everybody's trying.
But again, sorry. But this is the idea. Like, you can't put migrants in tents. You can't... Where are we going to...
They're not saying tents, they're saying barracks. They're being built. You don't build a tent, you build a barrack.
Yeah. OK. Thankfully, we barely have an armed force anymore, so there's no one in these, these accommodations because we don't have enough of an army.
But this, I've been arguing this for weeks now. A good way of thinking about the numbers is, roughly speaking, the number of people we have in asylum hotels is equal to the number of people who attend the Glastonbury Music Festival on any given day.
Yeah.
So if you had an encampment, a bit like the Glastonbury Music Festival encampment, theoretically, you could get every single person out of an asylum hotel and into that encampment.
Well, you could also have the same artists. They'd totally agree, wouldn't they?
And the same banners, refugees welcome, all that sort of stuff.
You wouldn't have to change anything. Hang on a minute, we struck gold here. You could just... And the bloke who owns the farm, the
would be all in favour of it.
Would be in favour of it.
I would hate to think of the toilet situation. Ghastly. Just grim.
That's against the ECHR.
Wouldn't it be... Oh, my gosh, can you imagine if, seriously, that we decided to turn Glastonbury just into one large migrant camp, and then they went to the ECHR to say the conditions were inhumane? Lovely. Yeah, but how do we feel about the army being used to do this? Because, I mean, in theory, it's a good idea. Again, the problem that Labour have got is that, like, of the two things that we've spoken about so far, one, they would have all campaigned against in the past, and two, it's just nicked from reform.
Yeah, and therefore they will lose some of the ground on the left, because they're fighting two battles, which, doesn't go well in wars. We're fighting on two fronts. So they'll keep losing that ground to the left whenever they try and do the Nigel Farage light. And that's why I think don't even talk about it, just do it. Solve problems so that you can't even have the discussion. But the actual idea of using... You can't use hotels, so you need another solution. This is a better solution than hotels.
Do you remember they went on about... I mean, Yvette Cooper, who is not a Home Secretary anymore, but she banged on about how inhumane the Bibi Stockholm was. And now here we are. The fourth paragraph in the Sun's story down the side, giving channel migrants less comfortable housing is viewed as a key deterrent in stopping record numbers of crossings. Yeah.
Well, I think they've understood that there needs to be a deterrent. That you know, even when Macron came over on the state visit, he said publicly,
but it took the French. Isn't that offensive? Like, it took Emmanuel Macron to tell... So Keir Starmer will listen to Emmanuel Macron, but he won't listen to the British public or anyone on the right.
I don't think that's fair. I think, of course he knew. Of course he knew. He's not a stupid man. He knows exactly what the situation is. He's not an idiot.
In his defence, though, I think the same thing happens in marriages. I'm sure you'll hear this way. You have a discussion with your missus, you give her a nice piece of advice, totally ignores it, but a best friend says the same thing. And Tracy reckons I should do this. I said that last week. Yeah. So I think you can hear things coming from Macron.
Nice. Maybe we should get Emmanuel Macron to tell him to resign.
maybe we should get Tracy to come in and give us...
Probably.
I'd say, just be careful of the detail, right? We're consulting on possible changes to ECHR. The Army is on standby to potentially do so. I want to see some action here, and at the moment it is just words.
OK, all right. Well, there's lots more on the front pages. We are going to be dealing with Michelle Mone on this as well. So the firm linked to Baroness Mone ordered to pay back 122 million quid for faulty COVID PPE. It's the other story on the front of the Sun. It's on the front of, I think, 5 national newspapers tomorrow as well. But next... Ed Miliband did his big speech today, didn't he? And we are going to be talking about some net zero madness.
The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer...
Lunatic. Anyway, but find out how much more money Britain is wasting switching off wind turbines during high winds. And Kemi Badenoch, on the front of the Daily Telegraph, has got a big piece. She says she will rip up laws on net zero. They will end targets for electric car uses and end the scrapping of gas boilers. She'll let you keep your boiler. That's nice. But will they frack? Will they drill, baby, drill? Well, you're going to have to stay tuned to find out.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Liz Mitchell, MBE, gracing us with her presence on the sofa this morning. Liz, so good to have you with us.
I am happy to be here.
You have the most incredible voice, the voice of a generation. The whole disco era is down to you. What do you think has made your songs so timeless? I mean, everybody knows them, don't they?
Everybody
knows them. Everybody.
One thing I'm very grateful for is the temper of our music, because it seems to be very friendly, warming, and even our slow songs. I was playing one just the other day for my 2-year-old grandson, and he said, more. I was so happy.
I'm with him on that. There's a real sense with your music, though, that it is uplifting.
Yes.
And you feel happy listening to it. I mean, despite whatever it is you're singing about, almost, it's just there's a joy to it.
Yes, and that is really a gift, I think, that most artists would want to have, is that when they make their music that is lasting and that is bringing happiness to people. Because for me, that's the whole point of singing. You know, you should be able to make the people you're entertaining feel happy, hear something good, forget the pain for a moment and just want to dance and just feel good.
And Boney M music is all over TikTok, isn't it? It's being remixed all the time. How do you feel watching your music being reinvented like that?
It is really wonderful. This has been going on since the 90s, even before the 90s, people were remixing our songs. So it's the uniqueness of the vocals, because that's what is given to them, just the plain vocals, and then they put new music on it, and it still sounds like Boney M.
The People's Channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Welcome back to Late Edition. And so there's a couple of front pages going off on a bit of net zero lunacy. So if we just start with the Times. So they've got Britain blows £1 billion on turning off wind turbines during high winds. This is Ed Miliband all over. The other aspect, of course, is that Ed Miliband has looked at this and decided that the thing we need now is more wind turbines. So 1,000 more. So loves a wind turbine, Ed Miliband. So there's that. Is this just the definition of insanity? Mark?
It's pretty damn crazy, isn't it? I mean, look, the traditional criticism of wind turbines is, what do you do if there isn't any wind? Isn't that a bit of a problem? But this is the problem at the other end of the telescope. Too much wind for the wind turbines. I mean, this is the sort of equivalent of the wrong type of snow on the rail track, isn't it? So we're having to switch these things off because they're either not doing anything or they're too efficient.
The thing is...
that's the nut. That's how
Octopus,
crazy it is.
The energy supplier says that it's the payments are the result of Britain's out-of-date transmission network, which cannot cope with the amount of renewable energy being generated. So it's the grid that can't, because the grid needs to transfer to urban areas where it's required.
That's part of the problem, though, isn't it? This headlong rush towards net zero, for which we do not have the infrastructure.
Yeah, and it's a virtue signalling thing, isn't it? It's then we're going to go net zero by 2050. We'll do it by 2040. We'll do it next Tuesday. Yeah. None of this makes sense. Yeah, you're making a smaller number. Look how good you are. Until you actually sort out getting the infrastructure in place, all you do is have wind turbines that then you have to pay for. And I remember at school, we were told that all of these renewables would make things cheaper. When that happens, you can get me so on board with this, when my energy bills go down. Instead of now, I'm paying money, an extra amount of money, to not get power made. That's not good. I'm not a business expert.
What is wrong with our infrastructure? Why haven't we got the gas things to retain the gas, which we don't have?
Because
that's another thing.
We've messed around with our energy infrastructure over and over again. The idea is politicians running the energy sector. I'm with Steve. Look, if somebody can make a gigantic wind turbine that makes my electricity bill cheaper, or find some magic way to use tangerine juice, or invents human-sized hamster wheels that we run around in that are incredibly efficient...
Excellent idea.
But the market's got to decide this, not Ed Miliband. I want different companies to compete on cheap energy, and we'd stop that and just put it all in the hands of Ed Miliband.
But your mob had 14 years to beef up the infrastructure and didn't do it.
It's crazy. The Conservatives went for carbon net zero by 2050.
I just honestly don't think Ed Miliband gets enough stick. He spends half his time prancing around doing cringeworthy, I'll just say at times, homoerotic TikTok videos. And if you don't believe me, there's evidence. We played it earlier on. And then...
You
found that homoerotic?
You found that homoerotic?
Well, he's walking the catwalk and he does the thing, doesn't he?
If that's what turns you on, I'm not here to get you
That's
on.
up to you, Patrick. I would not query your...
No, I don't. Well, that's what... Anyway, whatever.
I
feel like we're going down a rabbit hole here. But he's supposed to be doing that. Meanwhile, bills are going up. He said they wouldn't go up. The grid can't tolerate the amount of wind turbines that we've got. People are losing jobs in places like Port Talbot and everything. I mean, it's just, anyway.
But the bottom line is that climate change does exist and we have to do something about it. We really do.
We've slashed our carbon emissions since the 1990s.
Yeah.
Greta Thunberg and Greenpeace and Friends of the Earth should be applauding us from the rafters for the carbon dioxide reductions we've made. They should be waving.
But look, even China's getting on board this. They are moving towards it. They've got the biggest wind farm in the world in China.
But the bottom line isn't that. The bottom line, the next line below it is, well, what do we separate between net zero and climate change? Elon Musk believes that climate change needs to be sorted out by technology. So this darling of the right thinks it's a real thing, but net zero might not be the solution. And it's not looking like it.
Let's just show the Daily Telegraph, because they've kind of knocked this on a little bit. It's the next line. So it's Kemi Badenoch. She's saying that she'll rip up the laws on net zero. The Tory leader vows to repeal the failed Climate Change Act in 2008, which sets legally binding targets to make the UK a net zero carbon emitter by 2050. It would pave the way for the Tories to scrap electric car targets, as well as plans to phase out gas boilers and replace them with heat pumps. She says we want to be a cleaner environment for our children, but not by bankrupting the country. So there you go, really. But again, though, like, doesn't it... Oh, by the way, sorry, just so Ed Miliband doesn't sue me, I am now going to play the homoerotic TikTok video.
Well, honestly, I was speechless when I woke up to your voice. Now you told me how you've been feeling. Let's look at...
Just me. Just me. I don't know, maybe...
Well,
anyway.
you're right, it does nothing for me.
Well, there you go. See, it's worked. Anyway, right, so, but it's Kemi Badenoch right here to say that... Sorry, what I was going to ask before I was interrupted by Ed Miliband's hips is... Isn't it just admit what we've been prattling around here for years, and now Kemi Badenoch basically pretty much wants to go back to how it was.
Yeah, well, she's right, isn't she? Carbon net zero by 2050 is not only impossible, it's not even desirable. The costs of getting there are so monumentally high, and the benefits to combating climate change on a global scale are so infinitesimally small that you would have to be absolutely crazy to be willing to pay that price. So I'm glad, if you like, Kemi's got the Conservatives off the ridiculous hook that Theresa May and Boris Johnson got them on, this mad greenery stuff. Here's the problem for her, though. Is anything going to be put in its place, or are we going to have a dash for coal? Are we going to not care about carbon emissions at all? Or is it now going to be that the new target is 2060 or 2070 or 2090 for carbon net zero? That bit, I think she's going to have to clarify at the Tory conference.
But the thing is, let's be honest about this. Whatever she says, it doesn't matter. The Tories are not going to get in next time. She is not going to be the leader, so she can say what she wants. She can prance about in a homoerotic fashion herself, and it wouldn't make a blind bit of difference.
Well, right, but she's going to try and put forward some policy ideas.
Well,
right? If
she has to. I mean, that's her job.
This is a step in the right direction. I mean, interestingly, Tories and Reform seem to be converging on a similar prospectus.
Yeah, just quickly, they're also the Tories are carrying the legacy of not having had a look at nuclear, which, if that was done, actually Tony Blair as well, if you'd have started it then we'd be living such a high life. You'd have your base load sorted by nuclear, and then you can mess around with what gives you the extra stuff. We wouldn't be so dependent on...
Like the French.
Yeah, it's well annoying, isn't it, really? Anyway, it is. It's so infuriating as your bills go up again today. However, tonight, the Israeli military boarded an aid flotilla carrying Greta Thunberg, and they detained her. Well, her friends from the Gaza flotilla have been putting plastic bottles in the Mediterranean Sea, hoping they'll just find their way to Gaza. Shall we have a look? Lots to go at there. So, plastic in the sea for Greta Thunberg and her aid flotilla. The other thing is just, I don't think that's how it works, does it? Go, here you go. I'm just going to send my phone to Gaza. Gaza. It doesn't work, does it?
Absolutely.
It could end up anywhere. It'd be in Spain, that. No?
I mean, I've always thought all of this is completely performative rather than actual, but that rather proves it, doesn't it? I mean, I think, remember when I was a little boy, you might put a little wish in a bottle and throw it into the sea in the hope that somebody one day... It's not real. The idea that that is any form of useful aid whatsoever is completely farcical. But it seems to me Greta and her allies are on another planet.
People of Gaza might actually think that Greta hates them, because if they get a plastic plastic bottle that's now got a manky tuna sandwich in it that's been sent over there. My God, who are people on those boats? They hate us. What are they doing?
I mean, the police just need to do their song about it. It's a bit different. Like, message in a bottle is, you know, mealtime in a bottle. But it is, you're right, it's performative. Of course it is, though. I think we should be slightly less harsh about that, because there's no way you could deliver enough aid on your one ship. Of course it's about getting headlines, so no wonder they're doing the TikToks, they're doing the videos. They are making me realise it's a hard life working for Deliveroo. I mean, you get the wrong booking and look what you have to go through.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I know earlier I did hear you say that you think we might be picking on her slightly more because she's a lady. A fully grown one now as well. It's not picking on a child.
She's a young woman.
I don't know. I think as soon as Jeremy Corbyn was saying, you know, agreeing with it, people were then pointing out how stupid his point of view might be. I don't know, but every time we talk about this, I always point out many good ideas have been had to try and solve the crisis of starving in Gaza. Tony Starmer came up with the idea of release the sausages, and that's not a bad idea now, is it?
No.
Yeah, he might have said it wrong back then.
He was ahead of his time.
It's a pretty good plan.
I cannot criticise her for wanting to highlight the situation, because it is a terrible situation. It's disgusting. It's grotesque. We see it on television, and yet we are powerless because Trump will do nothing.
Nina, every time a Tory like Robert Jenrick or Chris Philp pops up and gets big media coverage for something they care about, you complain that they're just putting their hand in the air saying me, me, me. I think you said that just last week. Yeah. Why is Greta Thunberg suddenly different in this performative politics just to garner publicity?
Because this is about people dying.
Yeah, okay,
this is about people starving. This is about a whole nation actually being destroyed. And in front of our eyes...
It's just a grab for media headlines, isn't it? It's not going to make any impact on that, really.
Well, they can't obviously feed
it should be better
the Palestinians. They obviously they cannot... She may well have done that, we don't know.
Well, slightly hard from that flotilla.
Well, before she left. I mean, there are 500 people in that, in 50 boats, so it's not just her. She may be leading it, but there are from all different countries joining it. Because people feel powerless. People are absolutely helpless in the face of this revolting, dreadful situation.
Yeah, OK, but the situation has changed in the last couple of days, hasn't it? There is a deal on the table, a ceasefire deal on the table, that basically all Hamas have to do, they can even keep their lives, apparently, according to this deal. If you are, supposedly, according to this deal, if you're a member of Hamas, you'll be allowed to leave Gaza. So it's not like they're going to go, and we'll try you. So they'll get off with everything scot-free, pretty much.
Yes.
And then the people of Gaza will be able to elect their own government in a bit once they've suffered some years of Tony Blair. But if we had to, you have to as well. And then they'll get a rebuild job.
Yes, but
why isn't Greta Thunberg saying thank you?
Thank you, Donald Trump.
But in this 20-point plan, they're supposed to be the Palestinian state. Well, Netanyahu completely denied that, said, no, there's not going to be a Palestinian state. Well, is Hamas going to agree to that? And that then gives Netanyahu carte blanche to just flatten Gaza even further.
Maybe Hamas have to take an element of responsibility.
Yeah, exactly. Wouldn't it be useful, wouldn't it be, if you really wanted to grab some headlines, it'd be Greta Thunberg's praising President Trump, to actually say, I love the Trump deal, bring in Tony Blair, fantastic news, it has my 100% support. That would grab some newspaper headlines, rather more than prancing around into a flotilla and throwing some bottles over the side.
The thing is, Trump has always sneered at Greta Thunberg, so there's no way that...
She hasn't exactly been that kind.
She's hardly been a real drum beat.
You don't remember when he came in, it was just a scowl, you know. But I know your strong views on Greta?
Do you know, no, I think now that she's fully grown, back then I did think there was a lot of people, but it felt harsh. Imagine you're a teenager and you read the headlines, but now she's in her 20s or whatever. In some ways, I feel quite a connection to her, because when I was in my 20s, I also did other stuff that might get me a job with the BBC. So we've got a lot in common.
Oh, it's good. Right, OK, coming up... Oh, it's a bad day in the Michelle Mone mansion.
I don't honestly see there's a case to answer. I can't see what we've done wrong.
Well, unfortunately, the judge didn't see it that way. And find out why a company linked to the Tory peer has been ordered to pay the government almost 122 million quid back. Stay tuned.
Yes, it's time for your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. A storm is brewing out in the Atlantic. Storm Amy will arrive on Friday night and linger into Saturday morning. In the meantime, a largely fine day to come tomorrow across the south like today, whereas further north there will again be a lot of cloud around, still producing outbreaks of rain through the night, especially in western Scotland. Those yellowy colours there suggesting the rain at times will be fairly heavy, quite breezy here too, but with the cloud and the breeze and the rain it will be a mild night. Further south with some breaks in the cloud, in rural spots we could dip down to single figures. Could also allow a bit of mist and fog to form for Thursday morning, but that should clear away. The rain, though, is going to linger across western Scotland. Probably not too heavy through the morning, but it will pep up again later in the day. And we do have a Met Office yellow warning in place. The rain really building up through this week. Could cause a bit of disruption, the potential for some flooding. Patchy rain across Northern Ireland initially. That is also going to turn heavier. Most of England and Wales having a cloudy but dry start. As I mentioned, maybe some mist and fog through the morning rush hour, but it should clear away. The rain is going to get heavier through Northern Ireland during the morning and then through the afternoon spread into western Scotland. So again, the potential for some disruption from that wet weather. The Moray Firth may well stay completely dry and the rain will be fairly light and patchy in Edinburgh. England and Wales by and large staying dry, brightening up too with some sunshine. We could see 21 degrees Celsius, but we'll see some rain scooting through England and Wales Thursday night and into Friday, clearing away to reveal something a bit drier for a time. But look at this. This is Storm Amy, bringing rain into the northwest later on Friday, and the winds also continuing to strengthen. A windy night Thursday night, but it gets even windier on Friday night as Storm Amy moves in. Look at the isobars. There's a number of weather warnings in place. Do check out the Met Office warning for details on that. But this storm system could cause some problems into the weekend.
Miriam, you can't be serious. Scrapping the triple lock on state pensions? Madness.
Andrew, we just can't carry on pretending. The numbers just don't add up. We've got to be honest with people. We've got to face the facts. That's what people want.
Well, that's what you get on GB News and on Britain's Newsroom. Lively debates, lively conversation.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first, and we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's News Channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys Tonight, late edition. Right, OK, so before I talk to you about the Michelle Mone scandal, 122 million quid she's on the hook, or I don't know, a company or her husband is on the hook to pay back over dodgy PPE during COVID. We're going to take you stateside now because our very own Bev Turner is over there in Washington. It's the Late Show Live, midnight till 2 a.m. Bev, what is coming up?
I am very busy here preparing for tonight, Patrick. It's been a massive day here in Washington. We've got this government shutdown, so we will be telling you what that means. I was there at the White House today, at the briefing room. JD Vance was in there, Caroline Levitt. It's very unusual for JD Vance to be at a briefing as the Vice President, obviously, but that is how serious this is. The Republicans and the Democrats cannot agree on what to spend their money on or how to spend the money, and so the money just stops being spent. It's quite a radical process. It doesn't happen very often. We're going to have my guests in the studio this evening. We're going to be finding out what that means. How will this pan out politically for America here? And then we're going to be digging into some of these amazing stories on the front pages of the papers that have only just landed, as you know, there. The Michelle Mone story. I also want to know who gave her that contract. Patrick, it's all very well that she clearly didn't do what she was supposed to do with that contract, her and her husband, but who's responsible for giving her that in the first place from the government? And we're also going to be talking about, if I just put on my glasses, this migrant story as well that's just broken only in the last few minutes, about the fact that they will now have to behave themselves so their families can join. I mean, I just sort of naively presume that's the kind of thing you have to do anyway, isn't it, to live in the UK? Apparently not. It's a screeching U-turn from Keir Starmer, clearly playing to the Patriot crowd.
Well, yes, absolutely. But, of course, you know, he can do these policies. He can also instruct the military to build makeshift camps and put migrants in them. But if he's doing it, it's not racist. But if Reform are doing it, oh, my gosh, it's like the Hitler Youth, Bev. And so, yeah, we'll see how we go. But I'm looking forward to the show. I watched all of it last night, by the way. I thought it was fantastic, so well done. And, yeah, we'll see you. I'll see you in 20 minutes. All right, take care. Bev Turner over there in Washington for us. We are going to do Michelle Mone. Right, OK. So, which paper to take the pick from? Let's go for the Metro. Why not? Just because we've not done it yet, but it's the same story. Mone, Mone, Mone. Good headline, that, actually. Unless you're Michelle Mone, of course. So we've been scapegoated by the government, she says, after being told to repay 122 mil. Her husband calls it a travesty of justice, claims that the judge ignored evidence to help the establishment. Wes Streeting vows to get COVID gowns cash back. But the company's administration, and apparently it's only got £666,000 in the bank. All right, well...
666, that's a very significant figure, surely.
Yeah.
You were saying who gave her the contract? Well, I don't know, but I had read, and I could be completely wrong, if my memory could be, that she rang up Michael Gove in the first instance. When COVID hit, and it all kind of went from there. But I stand corrected if I'm wrong on that.
I'm not going to try and defend her, but I think it's important to realise this isn't just any normal government contract, right? COVID hits, and suddenly you've got the government thinking, oh, my God, we need 500 million face masks, like, pretty damn quick. We need endless surgical equipment. Matt Hancock, for a while, thought that I think he was going to say, he said that he would pay almost any price for a ventilator. I was wondering whether to get into the ventilator business at that point. So there's this sudden mad dash to try and get stuff. And that, to my mind, is a sensible thing to do in an emergency. However, what happened here is the stuff provided was not up to snuff, right? So there was a spec saying, great, yeah, we'd like to buy 25 million pieces of medical equipment from you. What are they, gowns and gloves and that kind of thing. Turns out it wasn't up to snuff. So it strikes me like any contract, if you've ordered something and it's not up to spec, you get your money back. That's what's happened here.
Yes, but there was so much that seemed to me to be underhand dealing.
But we couldn't wait around for
no, we weren't waiting. No, but I remember at the time you were talking about ventilators. I remember hearing or seeing on television a ventilator manufacturer who had been in business for decades couldn't get through to the government. They wouldn't take his call. He never got used.
Yeah. Well, that's what they tried to use. I mean, maybe Michelle Mone shouldn't be the right person. A VIP
not the right person.
So there's a word went out to everybody in both houses of Parliament. Right. Do you know anyone who can help?
OK, go on, Steve, your view.
That was almost the problem with the VIP fast lane, is that the VIPs were likely to know the politicians rather than be experts in the field. That's not what you needed. That's true. You didn't want to get the phones kept busy by people who... There was a story of... Was it the local landlord
Matt
Hancock? It was like, oh, sorry, I was some glassware.
Down the pub down the road.
That's not how it works. That's not where you get files from.
That's how it did work. And how many billions of pounds of fraud were there?
And whether we get the money back, it would be great, but I'd be surprised given that the bank accounts are empty. The other thing, they want to take the baronessness offer. Now, I've looked into this. For being in the Lords, you get £361 per day if you turn up and sign in. She'd only have to do that for 338,000 days. It's just over 900 years, and she could pay it back.
Oh, that's a great idea. Have you? You should let her know. Let her know. I'm sure she'll
do it.
Yep.
She could do it, actually. Well, people with her wealth will probably end up living forever anyway. It will. I mean, do you remember that conversation that was overheard between President Putin and Xi Jinping, where they were... You know, when you imagine what is it that dictators talk about when they're together, and it turned out they were talking about
eternal life,
life, harvesting organs, and being able to live forever. It was just like, wow, this is really happening. This is really happening. It wasn't like, it was like South Park couldn't have done it any better than what the reality was.
There's the chance, though, the organs that she can lay her hands on at short notice aren't the kind of ones that'll keep you going forever.
See how she likes it.
But I think the thing about this is, and I feel almost guilty about it, is that somehow she rubs people up the wrong way. She's not the most attractive of personalities. And I'd say so. I watched that two-part documentary series on her. And people are, now that they fear this, people are going, yes, Michelle Mone, yes, yes, yes.
So is that sexism? Because the Greta thing is, apparently. So are we picking on her more because she's a blonde lady?
No, not picking on her a blonde lady at all. I'm thinking because she seemed to be a thoroughly unpleasant woman.
Do you think? I think the bras are lovely.
Well, she's taking the rap for what was her husband's company. Right?
Oh, believe me, she doesn't take. She is not. She is not a passive person.
Hang on a minute.
She is not. She is in no way passive.
Hang on a minute.
Nevertheless, the name on the deeds is not hers.
Yes, but he
should the husband not be coming out here and say, he's hiding behind Michelle? Why should he not be coming out and going, look, this is all me? She's the one at the front of all the ones.
Millions.
He should be there going, look, guys, it's me. Sorry, leave my wife alone. Instead, he's like, oh, well, gosh, Michelle.
Wouldn't want to interrupt her right now. He was in the interview, wasn't he? The Laura Kuenssberg one. He was sat next to her, and he had a really ill-fitting shirt. And you just think, you're turning up to talk about how you couldn't procure garments. You're wearing this shirt that don't even fit.
What I loved was Laura Kuenssberg's face when she was listening to these ridiculous answers. So I lied. That's not a crime. Please.
All right, OK. We've got one more segment to come. So, the illegal immigration blame game.
These are Farage boats, in many senses, that are coming across the channel. Many people come here to contribute to our society, but the numbers need to come down, and we're bringing them down.
We're going to be talking about all of that, and as well, apparently, Prince Harry has dragged Prince William into a court fight. Stay tuned.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
We've seen some pretty heavy rain around the Mediterranean this week. It's going to stay pretty wet and quite windy across Greece. Meanwhile, the rain clearing away from Italy and the Balkans. A few showers coming into the Canary Islands, the odd one close to Barcelona, but the Balearics turning drier after some thunderstorms earlier, along with the Balkans and Italy as the rain clears away here during Thursday. But setting up across Greece, some heavy downpours and gusty winds through Thursday and Friday. Looking drier, though, in Santorini for the weekend.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then. Yeah, as I say, now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Late Edition. Let me bring up the Daily Telegraph's front page. And upgrading Donald Trump's flags for a brighter shade of MAGA cost the taxpayer quite a lot of money. Mark Littlewood's got the detail.
This is amazing. So we had to spend an extra 50 grand to make sure that the flags had the right shade of red for the stars and stripes, OK? But before you leap to the conclusion that it was Michelle Mone who provided the first batch of flags, no such like at all. This is what the real story is. The Americans have changed the shade of red they use on the stars and stripes.
Brilliant.
Apparently, it's now more MAGA-like. It's a different shade.
MAGA-ised it.
Can you do that? I mean, I would have thought, like, changing the colours on your flag is quite a big decision, right?
Oh, it's great.
Coca-Cola never changed their logo.
Yeah.
But, you know, Trump has just decided one night he wants more cherry red because it's more MAGA-like. Amazing.
But I like the fact that he's just done it.
Yeah, he's just done it.
He's like, screw it. Yeah, I did it.
That's the thing that happened.
I'm amazed anyone can notice, to be fair. The thing that upsets me is a guy saying the red on their flag is now stronger than the red on the Union flag. How very dare. We had the original red.
But the flag maker said they had trouble from the Azerbaijanis before because, again, they didn't have the correct shade of red. And the flag that they had was more russet, so they got problem. But the other thing is they've also ditched the Russian flags because they reckon there's not going to be a visit and nobody's going to care.
Probably.
Yeah. No, but then that means that in like a few years' time, when things are thawed out a bit, we'll have to buy more Russian. Where are we storing them? Are we short of storage? Why do we have to bin them? Can't we just keep them?
Yeah.
Well, I guess we could, but I mean, why
would
would
you cut them up into little red bits and put them on other people's flags, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is just.
They could recycle them. Yeah.
The US flag is now different. I mean, what's going to happen if Jeremy Corbyn becomes Prime Minister? Is the Union Jack changed to like yellow and?
No, it's all red.
Or just all red.
It's a small sickle they want to put somewhere.
I don't know what the law should be here, and I'm usually against light touch regulation. It just strikes me as crazy that you can just change your national flag and catch the sort of British flag makers on the hop for it. Oh, no, you got the wrong shade of red there, mate.
Yeah.
50 grand down the drain.
50 grand down the drain. Very quickly, we've only got about a minute here, but it looks as though Prince Harry has dragged Prince William into a court dispute. He claims that private investigators were hired by, I think it's the Mail Group newspapers, isn't it, to spy on William. Does Harry need to just shut up on all this now?
Well, I think that's part of his evidence as to what the Mail were getting up to, and that's fair enough. Didn't William get a payout from the papers at some point?
Yes,
which he's never disclosed. That was it the Mail? We don't know. I can't.
I think it was. I think he said how much it was. But I think he got.
In which case, then he got the money for it without having to go to court.
Part of the family drama, though, I think, is what we get for our money. I keep thinking of this. People think, what do you get? You got this royal family. Well, we do get a lot of newspapers filled with the fact that they had a fist fight once and they fell over and broke a necklace. And with that tweet, or the line from the autobiography where Harry says, oh, he pushed me over and he broke my necklace, that last syllable really changes that sentence quite a lot. It was high impact until that, oh, you broke some jewellery.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. All right, brilliant. So, well, guys, thank you very much for helping us all pick through all of the newspapers for Thursday. Lively set there. I mean, just to whiz you through, to remind you of what's on them, of course, we've got the major U-turn on human rights to stop the, quotes, Farage boat. So Sir Keir Starmer appearing to want to try to find a way of amending the ECHR. Quite a seismic shift up for Sir Keir Starmer, who's basically made a living and a career out of, I would argue, brutally abusing the ECHR against the British people, but he would deny that. Cough up COVID, 122 mil. Michelle Mone's copping it on the front of several newspapers as well. And it looks like the army is going to be brought in to help build migrant camps. So there we go. Bev Turner is live, The Late Show live in Washington, D.C. for us. I think we can go over there now.
Thank you, Patrick. A seismic political day here in Washington, D.C. The way that the Republicans and the Democrats argue, honestly, it makes the Brits politicians look like amateurs. They can't agree on a spending plan. Loads of government services just shut down. Why? What happens next? We're also going to be talking about that story that's hot off the press about immigration, and Keir Starmer apparently doing a U-turn and getting tough on immigration. Do you believe him? And the Kidmans' messy divorce. That and a lot more. Stay with us.
It's our biggest Great British giveaway to date. You could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This 4-berth home from home comes complete with integrated kitchen and bathroom areas and has all of the tech you'd expect from the latest 2025 model. We'll also give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that any adventures you take in your new motorhome are taken in style. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going